I warned you 6 months ago prices could keep going up when no one else thought it could, everyone's screaming a bubble. I warned you again 3 months later that there was still plenty of room in this bull market when everyone said it was really a bubble this time. And after that video, sets like Team Up, Cosmic Eclipse, Generations, and all of these sets and more exploded up in price again. And Evolutions famously climbed to $1,000 a box, all after I said the market could keep going. And I warned you that in the second Logan Paul break, the market might adjust ahead of the event. As many of you know, all of these things came true. And while I can't tell the future, today I'm going to reveal what the market is telling me now and what I'm buying today. If this is your first time here, I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital, and this is not a hype channel, this is a truth channel. So if you don't mind someone being real with you, then like, sub, comment, all that good stuff helps support a creator who isn't here to sell you anything. Also, do me a favor and comment below and let me know how you're feeling about the hobby today. Our analysis today will be a little bit different. This isn't as much a technical breakdown like I usually do here, but this is more so going to be an overall combined analysis. Which I think is very necessary here. As usual, if I attack an analysis a certain way, there is a reason behind it. And I'll explain why as we look at the charts. I'll explain to you what it's telling me and what I'm doing about it. Now, looking at the charts, and as crazy as this sounds, I actually like the way this chart looks right now. This is the base set unlimited PSA 9 Charizard, which I have been using as an indicator for quite a while now. As mentioned in my past videos, this is not a perfect indicator, but as of now, I still think it's one of the best fits for the current market environment. And I'll explain why, even though the prices are down, I'm actually liking what I'm seeing. The last time we looked at the charts, I explained how we had some consolidation, and this was in January. And not surprisingly, we ended up breaking to the upside, and we built a nice little growth period where prices were moving up for about the next 4 to 5 weeks or so. Now, a month ago, I warned about the possibility of the Logan Paul event being priced into the market already. That ended up pretty much being true because after the break, there really wasn't any interesting price action, and we even saw some card prices pull back. The second Logan Paul break occurred on week 42, and as you can see, we have a nice large red candle and red movement since the break. Now, if we look at the general market, if we look at some of the hottest cards in the last few months, for example, Special Delivery Pikachu, we saw it hit a peak price of somewhere around $300 to $350 or so, ungraded condition. Now we're sitting closer to somewhere around $200 to $250 or so. So we're down about, give or take, about $100 on Special Delivery Pikachu. So it's a really nice, healthy pullback. The Full Art Ultra Prism Lily card, the Full Art Trainer, I'd say this card has generally held pretty well. You could argue that the prices are maybe down slightly, just depends on what time period you're looking at, but I'd say her card has really held up very well. In a lot of ways, I consider the Ultra Prism card to kind of be the blue chip card of the Full Art Trainers, so it's not really surprising that it's held up so well in terms of price. And if we look at, of course, one of the hottest sets, Evolutions, it is also holding relatively strong in the $900 range. So it peaked out somewhere around $1,000, a little bit above $1,000, and now we're settling somewhere around $900, which is a nice, very moderate pullback. And of course, we've seen a lot of vintage cards retrace heavily since the peak of the bull run, and there's definitely been some deals I've seen here and there on vintage. Obviously, we'll exclude sets that are currently still in print, so things like Hidden Fates, Darkness Ablaze, Shining Fates, etc. Obviously, these sets are going to see reprints because they are still modern or still in production. So of course, if we have a nice flood of supply, we should see prices pull back a little bit. Now, if we look at some other cards, let's say the Kanazawa Pikachu card, it had hit a peak of around $80 or so, and now we're settling somewhere around $60 to $50. So a really nice, healthy pullback on that, as well as the Cosmic Eclipse Secret Rare Pikachu card, also peaked out somewhere around $80, and once again we're settling somewhere around $50 to $60 each. So again, a really nice solid pullback. So what we're seeing is either no movement at all on some cards, or some fairly significant retraces of around 20, 25, maybe 30% on some cards. And I think even the 30k Bulbasaur might not be 30k anymore. I know, big news, right? Now, if we look at sealed product overall, all of the out of print sealed product is actually holding up incredibly well. Prices are holding, and I think this is a great sign and probably what we'd expect to see, at least in the short term for now. So overall, what we're seeing is some cards holding steady, some cards that had the most hype, the most excitement, and the biggest growth out of nowhere has had some fairly healthy, strong pullbacks. And we can see that the market action that I've been talking about just now is reflected in our chart as the prices pull back. Now, what is great about this chart, what I am liking about this chart, is that long term, we are still holding a huge amount of profit. If you had almost any card, if you owned pretty much any card a year ago or longer, you're holding quite a bit of profit, easily 5x, 10x returns on the majority of cards. And so we've seen an incredible bull run. We've just been in this incredible historic bull market. And to see the market hold these profits so far is very good news. Now, what's important about this chart is the lack of clarity. As I had mentioned in the past, I've been expecting somewhat of a large consolidation period to build out, but instead we ended up where we ended up. Those of you who've been here for a while on this channel, you know that I've been honest with you the entire time. So for example, when everyone was screaming and shouting about bubbles, I warned otherwise. So what I tell you is what I actually believe based on real data. It's never hype, even though some people accuse me of hype, but it's never been about hype or anything like that. So the question is, what do you do? What do you buy? Should you even be buying anything right now? And the reality is we're just in a very tricky scenario right now. I could see long-term consolidation play out. I could see a short-term consolidation and a retest of our prior resistance lines now acting as support. And in my ideal scenario, I would love to see a long-term consolidation play out. Let's say where prices track sideways for quite an extended period of time, and hopefully we build just a new baseline of price history. I have my thoughts, or I guess my suspicions about what I think will happen, but really there's just not enough evidence for me to say it publicly like I have in the past. So, for example, there's so many possibilities and branching paths that I could see happening. It's kind of like playing the roulette wheel, just because I can see all of the numbers, it doesn't mean that I can pick the right number on the wheel. And that's kind of just how I feel here looking at the market we're in right now. So we're just kind of in this weird zone where there really isn't a clear picture. And so here is what I'm doing. And just a friendly reminder, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a random person on the internet making YouTube videos while I'm in lockdown, talking about my personal investment journey. So of course, speak to a licensed professional, do your own research. With that said, here is what I'm personally doing. Now, what do we always say here on this channel? The goal is to buy low and to sell high. Or if you're a Timmy, I guess the goal is to buy high and sell low, right? So for me personally, as a long-term investor, this is the time where I get defensive. This is where I make adjustments. And to be clear, defensive doesn't mean we panic. It does not mean we sell like it's the 1929 market crash. Defensive means I want exposure for the potential upside. But if I'm adding positions, if I'm buying anything, I want to add something that offers stability and strength in case the market does go down. So in case I'm wrong while I'm buying. And this is where I would only buy obvious value. This is where I buy good risk to reward options. Examples would be Hidden Fates sealed product at retail price. Not that I could find any if I wanted to, but Hidden Fates at retail, sealed product, sealed Shining Fates at retail price. I did actually purchase a small lot of Pack Fresh Shining Fates Shiny Vault cards at about $3 a card. In my opinion, that's a great deal. And if prices drop to where it's even lower than $3 a card, I wouldn't panic. I'd buy more. That's how much of a value I think it is. And that to me is just obvious value. I know that deal isn't everywhere. That's just a random deal I found. It's only the one deal. Just got lucky there. But just an example of picking up something where I see obvious value. Now, I've also picked up some cards where, let's say, the prices were the same or even cheaper than they were before the peak of this bull run. So buying cards that I believe in, cards that I'm confident in, that are at pre-bull market prices is something that I'm personally very comfortable with. Again, do your own research, do what you believe is best for you. these cards that I'm buying are cards that, let's say, I believe in long term. And these adjustments that you make are so important. They are so critical. In a normal Pokemon year, in a normal year where we're not having this incredible bull market, I wouldn't own some of the cards that I own now. But because I saw where the market was going very early and I saw this bullish momentum well before it happened, I was very aggressive. I was extremely aggressive, filling positions early into this bull run. So I rushed into purchases I normally would wait on because I saw that the market was changing. So what happens? If the market changes, I need to change. So sets like Burning Shadows and Cosmic Eclipse in a normal year, I probably would still not own these. I'd probably only barely start looking at Burning Shadows, maybe now, maybe Cosmic Eclipse soon, but I wouldn't own them already in a normal year. But because I was very confident that the market was showing bullish signals, I bought them ahead of schedule, ahead of my normal timeline, while they were still cheap, while they were still around retail price. Another example would be, let's say, Darkness Ablaze. When Darkness Ablaze first came out, it was very easy to pre-order. I know that was just a few months ago, but it was very easy to pre-order Darkness Ablaze. Even Vivid Voltage, I think you had 1 to 2 weeks. You could have easily pre-ordered that product. I know there was definitely a clear window that it was easy to do pre-orders. And the reason it was easy then, just a few months ago, is because historically you never really needed to pre-order. That was not really necessary in the past. There was no rush because you could always find what you wanted. You could always go to a store or a local shop and find what you wanted. But the market was quietly changing. It was quietly shifting. And because we make adjustments, you can pre-order them to get exposure just in case. And as you can see now, every set, they sell out instantly. It doesn't matter what set it is. It doesn't matter if we don't know anything. We don't know a single card in the set. It still sells out pretty much instantly. And like I've explained in the past, the markets will adjust. Now, everyone knows that if you want any Pokemon cards, now we know that you have to pre-order and do it fast. We know that now, but it wasn't like that even, let's say, 3 months ago or 6 months ago. It just was never like this before. And the reason I'm explaining this to you is because I want you to understand the importance of making adjustments. And so this is my next adjustment, is I'm getting a little bit defensive with my purchases. Now, concerning the charts and the market today, if you are extremely bullish in the short term meaning the next, let's say, 1 year, 2 years or so, if you think the future of Logan Paul breaks, Steve Aoki being in the hobby, the 25th anniversary, if you think that these are going to set the hobby on fire again, then of course do what you need to do if you are bullish in that scenario. For me personally, like I've been explaining in this video, I'm going to take a conservative approach, partially because I was aggressive and I was able to build out my positions very early, and partially because I want to position again conservatively. I want to position defensively just in case. And even though I'm being cautious here, if you are bullish on Pokemon in the long term, prices cooling off is actually a great thing. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see prices just go up forever. I would love to see prices just go up exponentially and never go down, but that's just not the way it works. That's not the way markets and economies work. So the next best thing that you could ask for is to see the market cool off and build stability. Healthy markets need these cooling off periods. And if we can hold these newly established price levels, this would be great news. Of course, do what you think is best based on your personal outlook on the hobby and the position we're in, your personal situation. Only you know what is best for you. We're at a very weird time in the hobby, a very weird time. Store shelves are empty, the community is evolving, things have really changed. But just like everything in life, weird stuff happens. And we can't predict everything, and we can't be ready for everything. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be right 100% of the time. No one can be right 100% of the time. You just do the best with what you have, you do the best with what you know, and you continue to grow and evolve. Because whether it's Pokemon or just living your everyday life, sometimes you just have to roll with it and do the best you can. I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital. like, subscribe, comment, tell me about your feelings about the state of the hobby. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.